In this lesson, we will be learning how to model a linear function by writing an equation of a line. Alright, let's get started. So first, we have to understand what a linear function is. The word linear just means a line. So graphically, it's just any straight line on a graph. Next, we need to know what a slope is. Slope is the trend of a line, which is represented by the symbol m. It has many different notation. Rise over run, changing y over changing x, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, or up down over left right, where up is positive, down is negative, left is negative, and right is positive. Those are all common notation that we can use to find our slope, m. To write an equation of a line, we have two major equations. The first equation is called Slope-Intercept Form, which is represented by the equation y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept, which y-intercept is a point on the y-axis, referring to the y-value of the coordinate. And we use the equation y-intercept form when we are given y-intercept and a slope to help us find equation of a line. Our next equation is called point-slope form, which is represented by the equation y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1 close parenthesis, where x1 and y1 is just a point or a coordinate. M is the slope. We use this equation to help us find equation of a line when given a point and a slope, or when given 2 points. Now, to make it easier to understand, whenever a problem asks for an equation of a line, always use point-slope form because it is easier. Let's get into some examples and see the 4 types of questions that could show up. The first type of problem that can show up is given a graph and we have to find the equation of a line. Now, let's try to use the slope-intercept form and see how it goes. First, we need to identify our y-intercept, which is on the y-axis. So our b is -3. Remember, y-intercept is the y value, not the x value. Then we need to find the slope of the line, which we have to use m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which in this case, it does not matter which coordinate is the first coordinate or the second coordinate. So we will say that 0, -3 is our x1 and y1. 2, 0 is our x2 and y2. So we will have 0 minus -3 over 2 minus 0, which is equal to 3 over 2. So our slope of the line is 3 over 2. Be careful, if you use 0 minus 3, you have to make sure you use 2 minus 0. A common mistake people make is the inconsistency. So people will do 0 minus 3 and end up using 0 minus 2. Realize how we use the y value of the back coordinate, subtract the front coordinate, but for x value, we use the front coordinate to subtract the back coordinate. This is an inconsistency and will produce the wrong slope. So make sure if you use the back subtract the front, always consistent with your x and your y. Once we get the slope and our y-intercept, all we have to do is plug into our slope-intercept form. So we will get y is equal to our slope 3 over 2x plus -3, which we can rewrite into y equals 3 over 2x minus 3. A slope is the number in front of the x value, but it does not include the x. If a problem ever asks you what is the slope of this equation, you will tell me it's 3/2, not 3/2 x. So that's how we get an equation of a line using slope-intercept form. Let's try using point-slope form. So once we obtain our slope, which is 3 over 2, to use point-slope form, all we have to do is pick a point out of the 2 coordinates and put it into our equation for x1 and y1. Let's try the coordinate 2, 0. So we would have y minus 0 equals 3/2 x minus 2. And all you have to do is distribute and simplify. You will have the same result, which is y equals 3/2x minus, distribute that in, we get 3. Regardless which method we use, we should arrive at the same answer. Let's try our second example. Given y-intercept is -3 and slope is 3/2, can we find an equation of a line? The problem straight up gives us y-intercept and slope, so we will be using slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. When we plug in those information, we get y is equal to 3/2 x minus 3, which is our slope and our intercept plugging into the equation. Example number 3. What if they give us 2 coordinates and ask us to find equation of a line? When given 2 coordinates, we will be using point-slope form. First, we have to find the slope of a line using the slope formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Once again, it does not matter which coordinate is the first coordinate and which coordinate is the second coordinate. So we will use 0 minus -3 over 2 minus 0, which is equal to 3/2. Be careful, slope formula is always changing y over changing x. So y on top, x at the bottom. A lot of common mistake people make is putting x on top and y at the bottom. Then you will have the wrong slope. So always put y on top, x at the bottom. Once we obtain our slope, all we have to do for point-slope form is to pick a coordinate and plug into our equation along with the slope. Let's pick 0, -3. So we would have y minus -3 equals to 3/2 x minus 0. Double negative means y plus 3 equals 3/2 times x by distributing the 3/2 into the equation. And lastly, we need to move the 3 over to get it into y equals 3/2x minus 3. Extra thing to be careful. The problem can ask you to keep the equation in point-slope form or change it into slope-intercept form. To go from point-slope form to slope-intercept form, all we have to do is distribute the slope into our parentheses and move the y value over to the other side to obtain the equation y equals mx plus b. Example number 4. What if they give us a table and we have to model to find equation of a line? It is no difference when they give us a table or 2 coordinates. All we have to do is pick 2 points out of the table and use point-slope form to find our equation of a line. So let's pick 2, 0 and 4, 3. Then we will have 2, 0, 4, 3. And of course, our first step is always find the slope. M is equal to 3 minus 0 over 4 minus 2. Remember, y value subtract y value over x value subtract x value and keep it consistent, which we get 3/2. Once we obtain the slope, all we have to do is use either coordinates and put it into point-slope form. So let's pick the second coordinate, 4, 3. We will get y minus 3 equals 3/2 x minus 4. If the problem tells us to do point-slope form, we will stop. But if the question asks you to get to point-intercept form, we have to distribute the coefficient and then move the y value over. So we will get y minus 3 is equal to 3/2x minus 6 plus the 3 over, and we finally get y equals 3/2 x minus 3, which is in slope-intercept form. And that's it. So in summary, linear means a line. Slope is just the trend of a line or how the line behaves, which is represented by the symbol m. And the equation to find slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. To write an equation of a line, we need to remember 2 formulas. slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is always referring to the y value of the coordinates, and it is always located on the y-axis. And we also have point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. M is the slope, and x1, y1 is just a coordinate. We will use y-intercept form when given y-intercept and a slope. We will use point slope form when given 2 points or a slope and a point. Now remember, to find an equation of a line, we always want to find the slope first, and preferably always use point slope form. With these two equations, now we have successfully learned how to write an equation of a line. If you guys like that content, please feel free to smash that subscribe button and help support the channel.